Sometimes life doesn't test you with small choice that he thought the worst thing that could happen was losing his job. He had no idea the real test was just beginning. Welcome back to Acts of Kindness Stories, where real kindness writes the best stories. The morning sun crept across Brightview Corporate Plaza, warming the glass doors as people streamed through the lobby. Office workers clutching steaming coffees, executives swinging briefcases, interns rushing to beat the clock. All of them passing by one man who stood exactly where he always stood. Quiet, steady, faithful. Michael Moore, 42 years old, had worn the blue security uniform for 5 years. The fabric had faded from countless washes, the collar frayed at the edges. His shoes pinched his feet. His back ached from 12-hour shifts spent standing on concrete floors. But Michael never complained. Not once. His co-workers admired him, though few ever said it out loud. They noticed his calm smile, his respectful greetings to everyone from the CEO down to the cleaning crew, his willingness to help carry boxes or hold doors even when his shift had technically ended. But the person who admired him most was his wife, Sasha. That afternoon she burst through the lobby doors, breathless, face pale, clutching her phone like it might disappear. "Michael," her voice cracked. "Come home. Right now. Your mother just had a heart attack." The world tilted sideways. His breath caught in his throat. His heart slammed against his ribs like it was trying to escape. "Hi, Mother," he whispered. "Is she?" "She's alive. But barely. The doctor said we need to get there immediately. They need consent forms signed for emergency procedures." Michael grabbed her hand, his mind already racing toward the exit. Then he stopped. Not because he wanted to, but as he had to. "I need to report to the manager," he said, voice trembling. "If I just walk out even for this, they'll fire me." Sasha nodded, her eyes filling with tears. She knew the truth as well as he did. The Moore family lived paycheck to paycheck. One missed day, one lost job could unravel everything they'd built. Together they rushed to the reception office where manager Celeste Grant sat reclined in her ergonomic chair, phone pressed to her ear, filing her nails with the detached ease of someone who'd never known real hardship. Michael cleared his throat. She kept talking, laughing about something trivial. He tried again, voice breaking slightly. Still nothing. Finally she held up one perfectly manicured finger, signaling him to wait, and continued her conversation for another 30 seconds that felt like 30 years. When she finally ended the call, she looked up with the expression of someone deeply annoyed at being interrupted. "Yes." The word came out flat, bored. "Ma'am, I need to leave. My mother had a heart attack. She's at the hospital and she might not make it. We need to sign off on emergency procedures." Celeste blinked twice. Not with sympathy. With irritation. "No," she said simply. "You cannot leave." Michael frowned, certain he'd misheard. "Ma'am, please. I've been standing here for 12 hours already. I'll work double shifts tomorrow. I'll make it up however you need. But right now." "I don't care if you've stood here 12 hours or 20, Celeste interrupted, examining her nails. "You're not leaving. You still owe me 6 more hours." Sasha stepped forward, her voice shaking with desperation. "Why are you being so cruel? This is his mother. She could be dying right now." Celeste raised her hand sharply, cutting her off. "And who are you to question me? I run this building. I don't owe you sympathy, and I certainly don't owe you explanations." Michael swallowed hard, fighting to keep his composure. "Ma'am, with all respect, this is a life or death situation. She could die while I'm standing here." Celeste leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and delivered her verdict in the coldest voice a human being could muster. "That is not my problem. Your family emergencies have nothing to do with your job performance. You leave this desk only when the new trainee arrives to replace you, and he's not here yet. Until then you stay." Her words sliced through the air like a knife through paper. Uncaring. Final. Sasha's phone rang, the sound cutting through the tension like an alarm. She stared at the screen, her face draining of color. It's the hospital, she whispered. She answered with shaking hands. Yes. Yes, we're coming right now. Please. Please keep her stable. We're coming. She hung up and grabbed Michael's sleeve, her voice breaking. They need your signature immediately. Michael, if we don't go right now. He turned back to Celeste, desperation flooding his voice. Ma'am, I don't even need today's salary. Just let me go. Please. Celeste's lips curved into something that might have been a smile if smiles weren't supposed to carry warmth. Oh really? She leaned forward, tapping a pen against her desk with slow, deliberate clicks. You want to walk out on your shift? Fine. But if you do, don't bother coming back. Michael inhaled deeply, his mind spinning through impossible calculations. He thought of his mother, her gentle laugh that sounded like wind chimes, her small hands that had worked as a seamstress for 30 years to raise him, her habit of praying over him every night even after he'd grown and married. He thought of the years she'd gone without so he could have more. He thought of what she would choose if their positions were reversed. And he made his decision. I quit, he said, the words steady even as his voice trembled. Just give me my month's salary. That's all I'm asking. Celeste rolled her eyes, opened a drawer and grabbed a small stack of bills. She slapped them onto the desk like she was throwing scraps to a dog. Here. $500. That should be more than enough for you people. Michael stared at the money, confusion mixing with hurt. 500? For an entire month? My contract clearly states. Oh, spare me, she snapped, waving her hand dismissively. I trained you for 3 months when you started. By rights, I should be charging you. Take the money and get out of my building. Michael closed his eyes, pain washing over him in waves. Why are you doing this to me? Celeste flicked her wrist toward the door. Go. And don't ever step foot in my building again. She started to turn back to her computer. And froze. Because standing behind her, silent as a shadow, watching every single moment of what had just transpired, was Mr. Leonard Briggs, owner of Brightview Corporate Plaza. Celeste's face went through several shades of pale before settling on something close to gray. She forced a shaky smile that didn't reach her eyes. B-boss. I didn't realize you were here. I was just handling a difficult employee situation. Sasha stepped forward, her voice raw with emotion. Sir, please. My husband has worked here faithfully for 5 years. We just want his full salary so we can pay the hospital bills. That's all we're asking. Mr. Briggs nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. He was a man in his 60s, with silver hair and the kind of quiet authority that came from decades of building things rather than tearing them down. I heard everything, he said calmly. He paused, letting the words settle like dust. And Manager Grant is absolutely correct. Celeste's face lit up with relief. Exactly. Thank you, sir. I'm glad you understand the importance of workplace discipline. Since she believes trainees should not be paid for their work, Mr. Briggs continued, his tone unchanged but his words cutting deeper with each syllable, she will now pay her own training fees. Celeste blinked rapidly, confusion replacing her smugness. Sir, what do you mean? You trained under me personally for 2 years when you started here, he said, stepping closer. And using your exact logic, you now owe me $100,000 for that training. Her jaw dropped. I don't have that kind of money, sir. You can't possibly. And this guard, Mr. Briggs continued, his voice growing firmer, has served this building longer and with more dignity than anyone on my payroll. You cut his salary based on nothing but cruelty. So I'll cut yours. Effective immediately. Celeste stumbled backward like she'd been physically pushed. Sir, please, I was just maintaining order. You're fired. The words echoed through the lobby. Final. Undisputed. Deserved. Celeste's face crumpled. She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned and ran out of the building, heels clicking frantically against the marble floor. The glass doors swung shut behind her and she was gone. The lobby was silent except for the soft hum of air conditioning and someone's distant phone ringing. Mr. Briggs turned to Michael and his expression softened completely. "I'm truly sorry," he said quietly. "I failed you. I should have been paying closer attention. I should have protected you from people like her." He reached into his wallet and pulled out a thick envelope. "I don't carry much cash, only about $3,000. Take it. Go save your mother. Money can always be replaced. Loved ones cannot." Michael's eyes flooded with tears. He shook his head overwhelmed. "Sir, I can't accept this. It's too much." "I said take it," Mr. Briggs insisted, pressing the envelope into Sasha's hands and gripping his shoulder firmly. "Go. Right now. Don't waste another second standing here." Michael's knees nearly buckled under the weight of gratitude and relief. No one in his entire life, had ever treated him with such immediate unconditional respect. "Thank you," he whispered, voice breaking. "Thank you so much." Mr. Briggs nodded. "Go save your mother. We'll talk later." Michael and Sasha raced to Brightside General Hospital, weaving through traffic, hearts pounding in rhythm with the car engine. When they burst through the emergency room doors, a nurse was already waiting. "Mr. Moore? Your mother is in critical condition. We need immediate payment authorization for the surgery." Michael's hands shook as he pulled out the envelope, counted the bills. "Here, please, whatever it takes. Save her." The nurse took the money, nodded, and disappeared through double doors marked surgical unit. The next 4 hours felt like 4 lifetimes. Michael paced the waiting room floor, wearing a path in the linoleum. Sasha sat with her head bowed, lips moving in silent prayer. Other families came and went, their own dramas playing out in whispered conversations and tear-stained faces. Finally, a doctor in blue scrubs emerged, pulling down his surgical mask. "Mr. Moore." Michael jumped to his feet. "Yes. Is she?" The doctor smiled, a real smile, tired but genuine. "Your mother made it. The surgery was successful. She'll need significant recovery time, but she's going to pull through." Michael's legs gave out. He sank into a chair, hands covering his face as tears of relief poured through his fingers. Sasha wrapped her arms around him, crying too, both of them shaking with the kind of gratitude that lives in your bones. 3 days later, when Michael's mother was moved from intensive care to a regular room, she was awake enough to squeeze his hand. "Hi boy," she whispered, her voice weak but warm. "You came." "Of course I came, Mama," he said, kissing her forehead. "I'll always come." That afternoon Mr. Briggs arrived at the hospital carrying flowers, his presence completely unexpected. "I hope I'm not intruding," he said, standing in the doorway. Michael's mother smiled from her bed. "Any friend of my son's is welcome here." Mr. Briggs pulled up a chair. "Mrs. Moore, I need you to know something. I didn't help your son out of charity or pity. I helped him because kindness is worth more than any title or position. And because no good man should ever be punished for loving his family the way he loves you." She reached out and took his hand. "You saved my life. And you saved his heart from breaking. That's not something I can repay." "You don't need to repay anything," Mr. Briggs said gently. "Your son's loyalty and character taught me more in one afternoon than I've learned in years of running businesses. I should be thanking him." Michael wiped his eyes, too full of emotion to speak. 2 weeks later, when Michael returned to Brightview Corporate Plaza, he wasn't sure what to expect. He wore clean clothes, carried himself with quiet dignity, and walked through those glass doors wondering if he still had any place there. Mr. Briggs was waiting in the lobby. "Welcome back, Michael," he said, extending his hand. "I'd like you to meet some people." He led Michael to a conference room where the entire building staff had gathered. Office workers, executives, janitors, maintenance crew, everyone. Mr. Briggs stood at the front of the room and raised his voice. "Everyone, I want to introduce you to Michael Moore. Some of you already know him. But today I want you to understand something important. This man represents the kind of employee we should all aspire to be. Loyal, honest, dedicated. And because of what happened to him, we're rewriting our company policies. He pulled out a document and held it up. Effective immediately, any employee facing a family emergency will be granted immediate leave with full pay. No questions asked. No penalties. Because integrity matters more than attendance sheets, and compassion matters more than profit margins. The room erupted in applause. Some people wiped their eyes. Others stood to clap harder. Even the new manager, a kind woman named Patricia, bowed her head respectfully in Michael's direction. Michael stood there, overwhelmed, barely able to process what was happening. Mr. Briggs walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. Your job is waiting for you whenever you're ready. Same position, double the salary, and my personal guarantee that you'll be treated with the respect you've always deserved. Thank you, sir. Michael managed, his voice thick. I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything, Mr. Briggs replied with a warm smile. Just keep being exactly who you are. As for Celeste Grant, she never returned to Brightview. Word of what she'd done spread through the business community like wildfire, and her reputation preceded her everywhere she applied. Her downfall became a cautionary tale, whispered in break rooms and boardrooms across the city. But more importantly, her cruelty became the catalyst for change. Change that protected dozens of employees from ever experiencing what Michael had endured. And Michael's story became more than just his own. It became a reminder that echoed through Brightview and beyond. Compassion isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength. Not power. Not wealth. Not authority. But compassion, raw, unflinching, unconditional compassion. The kind that shows up when everything is falling apart and says, I see you, I believe you, I'm here. Because at the end of the day, we're all just people trying to protect the ones we love. And when someone honors that sacred instinct instead of punishing it, they don't just change one life. They change the world. Kindness is never wasted. If this story touched something deep in your heart, if it reminded you that standing up for what's right always matters, even when it costs you everything, go ahead and hit that like button right now, subscribe to this channel so you never miss a story that might change how you see the world, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on stories like this. Drop a comment below with, kindness is never wasted. Let's fill this comment section with that truth. Let's make it impossible to scroll without seeing it everywhere. Because somewhere out there, someone is facing their own impossible choice between security and sacrifice. And they need to know that choosing love, even when it's terrifying, is never the wrong answer. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next story.